You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Because Sanders Claus is coming to town.
And welcome back to Paul Brown Stadium. We're at the half. The Jaguars hold to a 2-point lead. Don Fricke with Steve Tasker talking to some of the Bengal coaches at halftime. They feel the reason they're still in this game against what they think is a very good Jaguar team is third down conversions. The Bengals have converted 6 of 9 third downs.
Well, they've been able to stay on the football field, and you don't lose very many games when you've got possession of the game. That's possession of the ball. That's one of the things that both these head coaches told us coming in here. If they can convert third downs and keep the dangerous offense of their opponent off the field, they feel like they're going to win. The problem is when both teams have the same game plan, it comes out to be a push, and it comes down to 1 or 2 plays that make the difference. These offenses move the football extremely well in the first play. The Jacksonville Jaguars came out, had an 11-play drive for a touchdown. Those things all led to where we stand here, 14-12, and it's a tight football game. It looked as though Jacksonville was going to dominate. They came out and absolutely mowed the Bengals over in their first possession, and all the Bengals could get was a long field goal to bring it to within 7-3, and then Jacksonville got right back on the football field and mowed through the defense of the Bengals again. And all the Bengals could do was come back and answer with a short field goal. But then the Bengals bounced back, had a dynamic drive. John Kitna finishes here with the quarterback draw, and the Bengals go for 2, miss it. It is a tight football game, and once again, Don, like you said, it comes down to third down conversions. You'll see the statistics. Nothing really jumps out at you. They're pretty even.
That's how the numbers look at halftime. The one guy who wasn't highly productive was the running game of Corey Dillon. They were schemed to stop that. But Kitna continues to make terrific reads, terrific throws to keep his team in the game.
That's been the difference here in Cincinnati this season. Usually it's been Corey Dillon and nothing else. Every team that comes in here gears their game plan to stop him. Well, now the Bengals have got a passing game to fall back on, and teams are starting to find out that even if they take Corey Dillon out of the game, they may lose.
Now we have the kickoff coming from the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the ball is hit downfield. A knuckleball picked up by a blocker, a lineman. He didn't know what to do with it, so he does the right thing and goes straight ahead and goes to the ground in good field position. And rather pleased with himself, too. That was Brock Gutierrez, number 62, upping his kick return average there.
Yeah, there's a flag on the play. I think the Jaguars are going to be offsides.
Number 35 kicking team. Penalty is declined. First out.
The Bengals will take the football. That's a pretty good return out to the 38-yard line. You don't need the 5-yard penalty.
One of the interesting people that saw in the press box at halftime is John Cooper, who was a great football coach at Ohio State, and he's now doing some work with the Bengals. He had a Bengal hat on, a Bengal jacket. I said, you must be doing something with the Bengals. I am, and he was the guy that really thought that, well, he just extolled the play and the reads that Kitna's making. But he said, Jacksonville, I don't care what the record is, these guys are good. And here is Kitna dropping back. Bang! Those start to hurt. Paul Spicer gets a clean shot. Kitna took his time, didn't sense the rush.
Well, it was a matchup between Nick Lucci and Paul Spicer, and you're not going to win that very much. This is Paul Spicer right there, and this is H-back, not a tackle, not an offensive lineman, and that's a defensive end going against a big fullback, and that's a matchup Jacksonville has to win, and they did.
And the loss is back to the 30-yard line, a substantial loss on the play, so it brings up 2nd down and 17. So now you're almost in a must-throw situation. As I say that, they hand off to Corey Dillon. Well, in their wisdom, he gets nothing.
Well, they should have thrown the football there. Corey Dillon on 2nd and 16. You're not going to get much. I mean, this is not Sisters of the Poor defense they're playing, despite what you might think. Jacksonville can run to the football. Their defensive line is playing very well. at the point of attack. He's got under 3 yards per carry. They've got Donovan Darius back in the lineup, a safety who can really bring it in the run game. And Jacksonville is committed to stopping the run game of Cincinnati.
There's the third down conversion. You see the Bengals almost 67%. This is a tough one, though. 3rd and 17. Here's the throw and the catch. They almost get there, but they're a yard short. They get out to the 46-yard line. They need to get to 47. A 16-yard gain.
And that's a kind of a decision here for Cincinnati. I mean, this is the first drive after halftime. There's no more important possession in the whole game. And you'll see here, this is the pass play, and the Bengals are going to go for it here on 4th down and less than 1. Dugans comes up just short, and they've got that same personnel package in the game right here that they did on the short yardage play.
Well, this is the hammer offense right now. This is a run offense all the way.
Nick Lucci and Lorenzo Neal in front of Corey Dillon. Here it comes.
It's Dillon, and he slams ahead, and in a second try, he seems to get there. It might be the nose of the ball. Now a penalty marker's fired after the play. Might have been some people swinging at the bottom of the pile. He was stopped, and then he lunged ahead, Dillon.
Yeah, if he's not on the ground, he's still going to try and get yardage, and so many times the defense delivers that blow.
It is a first down. Personal foul, late hit, number 58 defense. 15-yard penalty.
Settles the issue. Wally Rayner called for a personal foul. And Coach Tom Coughlin, man,
you know, it seems
you couldn't measure how heated up he is over that.
You're not kidding. And, you know, it seems to be, you know, the penalties that Jaguars get, because they don't get very many of them. When they do get them, they really hurt. And in a play like this, I don't think they stopped him anyway. But you know, that short yardage play, the Jaguars have struggled with it thus far today. Wally Rayner got up thinking he made a great play, and it was a personal foul.
And that, as you know, Steve, is the first penalty of the day against the Jaguars, one of the NFL's least penalized teams. Here's Kidner getting some time, making a throw. It's a beauty, but then trying to get yardage by cutting back. Dugans loses some of the yards he had on the catch, but he does advance the ball for a gain of about 7 yards. Fernando Bryant brings him down.
Yeah, this is a team, the Jaguars, who came into this league, into this season thinking, man, this is going to be a 4-12 or 3-13 team. They lost so many players, cut so much payroll, and the reason they've been in games, the reason they've lost close games when they did lose, is because they're well disciplined and they don't make mistakes. And the Bengals are finding that out. You see, they're the least penalized teams in the league, and that's a nice stat for a coaching staff.
How can a team as bad as Arizona be the least penalized?
They don't try.
Here is a run by Brandon Bennett. There's not much there for him. So these Jaguar defenders, they really worked during the week to scheme off and be in position to stop the base run plays of the Bengals, and they've been doing it for the most part.
Well, you mentioned it in the first half, Don. This is a Jaguars organization that's been very successful against the Bengals, well, as has a lot of people. But this is a team that is first and foremost going to stop Corey Dillon or Brandon Bennett, whoever's back there. They're not going to let them run the football. John Kitna is going to have to beat this Jaguars defense.
Well, it looks like a throwing down now. It is, as he rolls out, makes the throw. Beautifully done to Dugans, who lunges ahead, and we'll see where the spot is. Linesman steps in. Looks like a favorable spot to the Bengals.
Right at the marker. They're going to have to measure.
Well, you know they're going to go for it if he doesn't get it. I think he's got it.
Yeah, I think they've got it. Well, they could get it, go for the field goal here if they felt like it.
It's a long one.
But I think they're going to be all right. I think they got the first down. You know, this Jaguars team, and this is kind of the philosophy around the National Football League. If you're going to get your team out there where you think you might have to, you know, stay on the football field, the thing is to not give up the big play if you're the Jaguars. Make them go the 8, 10, 12-play drive and hope they make a mistake that stops them, or one of your guys can come up with a big play. But you just don't give them the big play offensively, and that gives you a chance to be successful down the road.
The battle between Kraft and Dugans, and it looks like Dugans got there. He did.
I think you're right, Don. That was a favorable spot.
Ball position at the 28-yard line, 1st and 10. Dillon continues to struggle to get plus yards on the run. He got to about the 25-yard line, a gain of close to 3. Darius stops it. Darius.
I think it's starting to make sense for the Bengals that the most yards that Corey Dillon's getting today seems to be on draw plays. Their passing game has been so successful that now the defense is starting to get gashed by the draw plays. And you look at the safety coming up in here, coming from the defensive backfield. And they're throwing everybody at Corey Dillon.
Here's a blitz. It's picked up. A throw and a ball was caught and lost, but there could be a defensive foul on the Jaguars as Chad Johnson had his hands on the ball. But the question is, did Jason Kraft arrive early?
It looked like he did. Chad Johnson got spun around on the catch. A lot of contact.
Pass interference. Number 32, defense. Automatic first down.
You'll see it right in front of the camera here. He's going to come across, and there's at the bottom. And you see there, it's his left arm for Kraft that does the damage right here. Watch, he grabs the stomach of Johnson, spins him around. That's just classic pass interference.
Yeah, the interference results in a penalty pickup of 14 yards for Cincinnati. 1st and 10 at the 11. Timing throw, out pattern, poorly thrown ball. Not many of those off Kitna's right arm today, but that was too much on that for Chad Johnson.
You think back about this drive, the Bengals' first drive after halftime, it's always very important after you've made some adjustments. They came out, they went for it on the 4th down, and here they are down inside the 15. It's one gamble, one positive thing the Bengals have done that's helped them come out and make a statement here in the second half. Dick LeBeau made the right coaching decision going for it on that 4th down.
It's the 10th play of the drive coming up. 2nd down and 10. 2nd and 11 for a touchdown. Dillon weaves his way down to the about the 8-yard line where Marcus Stroud gets him down. Dillon is one of just 4 backs to rush for 1,000 yards, over 1,000 yards in each of his first 6 seasons in the NFL.
Throughout his career, you look there at his stats today, not a very good day, but he's a feast or famine guy. And we've seen him get, on opening day this year, he had 10 yards against the San Diego Chargers, and then there'll be other days that you and I did him where he had 278 yards.
He can rip it up.
I mean, when he gets there, when he has a good day, look out.
Eric Dickerson, Curtis Martin are 2 of the others who've done it. And here it is, the throw by Kitna to the end zone. A beautiful breakup by the Jaguars as the player who broke it up looks to be shaken up.
That's McCree. As he reached out for the ball, I think he collided with one of his own players.
Looked like Marlin got his hand on the ball. It was a big play. It would have gone for 6 had he not touched the ball. So he forces the Bengals into a field goal try.
And McCree was guarding the guy outside the numbers and kind of sifted in, and as Kitna tried to find the receiver crossing from the other direction, McCree crossed in front from this side. Well, McCree will come from this way, and the receiver will be coming from this way. There it is.
That was a big play by McCree.
And then as is always the case, Bennett calling for the football, thinks he's got it, sees he's got an opening.
That's why McCree has 6 interceptions to close on the ball like that.
He's got a nose for the football.
The one he didn't close on, of course, was last week when he was protecting the middle of the field. McCree last week couldn't get to that final throw by Couch. It went for a touchdown.
But he did make some plays.
There's his 6th interception of the season.
Ties the team record. Having a great year back there. That's what he needed in safety, Don. A guy who can get inside a quarterback's mind and tell by his body language where he wants to throw the ball and then get there.
McCree, a former Kentucky Wildcat who played with Tim Couch at Kentucky, where McCree was a linebacker. And Couch telling us before that game, he said, I hope I don't have to tackle Marlon McCree today. Well, he almost did. He did throw him a pick. 25-yard field goal, which if successful, will give the Bengals the lead, and they take the lead. So the Cincinnati Bengals on the Rackers field goal take a 1-point lead, 15-14. Bengals kick off, and we come back. One of the reasons the Bengals are in the lead is they haven't turned the ball over. They're one of the NFL's worst with a -11 turnover ratio, while the Jaguars are one of the best in turnovers. They come into this game +11. No turnovers either way. Here's the kickoff down to Ike Charlton, and here comes Ike from the 2. Finds a gap, and again gets it out to the 30. Consistently, the Jaguars have been starting from the 30-yard line. That was a 29-yard return. Back to Paul Brown Stadium after this.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of Super Bowl 37. Miramax Films Gangs of New York, in theaters nationwide Friday, December 20th. And by Chrysler. Drive equals love.
Well, Santa's trying to figure out, can we hang on here? Well, he's neutral, isn't he?
I don't know. Depends on whether you've been naughty or nice.
Well, right now we have Mark Brunell throwing to an open tight end, and nobody's covering him. And Kyle Brady runs it all the way down the sideline, across the midfield line, down to the 47-yard line. A gain of 23 yards on the play.
Well, you said it, Don. Nobody was guarding Kyle Brady. Coming right across the formation at the bottom of your screen. Takeo Spikes turns and wheels and goes up the football field, and there's nobody home. And Kyle Brady caught that, looked up the field. I'll tell you, that's something a tight end doesn't see very often, is empty field in front of him.
And Brunell putting up very effective throwing numbers, 12 of 16 at 75%, 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. So Mark Brunell raising his quarterback rating close to 90 for the season, came in with an 85 rating. And look at Fred Taylor. Has that unbelievable ability to cut back. A product of the University of Florida. And see, that's one of the problems with when you're not successful in Florida, the expectations, the bar has been set so high. No state produces the football winners that Florida does. I mean, you look at the colleges and you look at the pros, and all these teams are great teams that win.
You think about that, and you're right, Don. It's a different world down in Florida. A lot of good franchise at every level down there, and people expect that from all their teams. They want to hear salary cap problems and injuries.
And the truth is, you talk to college coaches, the mother lode of football talent is now in the state of Florida, high school players. The Florida All-State team, I'll tell you one thing, they will be playing in the NFL, most of those guys, if not. Which potential AFC playoff team is most need of home field advantage to advance through the playoffs? Miami, New England, Indianapolis, Tennessee, Oakland, San Diego. Cast your vote at NFL.com. The Colts might be hitting the wall. They're going down to the 3rd straight loss today.
I think if you're talking who needs most home field advantage, most need of, I think it's Miami. They do not play well on the road at all defensively.
Big Bernard Whittington going off. We're told he has a groin pull. 3rd down. Brunell under a big rush. Stands in, and they come and get him. Now he finds his way away from it. Look at the rush coming. And Brunell does very well to throw the ball away. Get out of the tackle box so it's not grounding. But they don't convert, and there is one of the great Bengals, defensive line coach.
Tim Crumry. Yeah, I played against him. There's a guy who's got a fast motor, and he showed that. His defensive lineman and that defense chasing Mark Brunell all over the yard on this play. There's Mark Roman jumping up, and then Brunell, Takeo Spikes, everybody, Mark Roman. And that's a good play by Brunell.
The punt by Hansen, boom, downfield. It caroms into the end zone. There's a penalty marker down, though, inside the 10-yard line.
I think it's going to be either too many men on the field. That came from way back down the field, and a guy who's counting the players. And I think he's checking around to see if everybody counted the same, and there are 3 flags. So we'll see if everybody's math was the same. Illegals. Yeah, I think that's what it's going to be.
So referee Levy comes over.
I think you're going to punt it again if you're the Jaguars.
Well, it was a touchback. If that play goes, we come out to the 20-yard line for the Bengals.
They'll try and get this ball inside the 20.
Coach Coughlin during the week met with the press, and all the jobs he has is well documented. General manager, head coach, offensive coordinator, and one of the media guys asked him, do you think you need some help? He says, like from who, a psychiatrist?
12 men on the defense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 4th down.
Yeah, make him kick it again.
Then we asked him about how supportive people are. He says, well, said my mother, I call her, she's very supportive. He says my wife is most of the time.
That's right.
Coaching decisions.
Yeah, this is a guy that runs a tight ship. I mean, there is no loose talk in that locker room or on that practice field. They come to work and they show up every day. And Tom Coughlin has his guys ready to play. This is a team that, you look at the games they've been in and lost. You say, wow, how can you do that? But you know what? This is a team that had very low expectations, Don. Then they started off 3-1. And it kind of changed and made things tough on them.
Well, right now, the Jaguars are expecting to go for it and make it on 4th down. It's about 4th at a yard. Ball positioned at the 38-yard line.
Stacey Mack in the game for Fred Taylor, short yardage.
Yeah, Mack has scored 8 touchdowns from their goal line formation. He might get the ball, the eye back. Needing a yard, a big back, tough to stop. That is Stacey Mack, and he gets the 1st down and more. Man, he comes out like he's shot out of a gun.
What a huge penalty the 12 men on the field were, Don.
And how? Yeah.
That was a killer penalty that seemed, like nothing at the time. And yet it gives the Jaguars the confidence to go for it on this 4th down. And Takeo Spikes winds up making a tackle 10 yards down the field.
The Jaguars are among the very best, if not the best, at 4th down conversions. They've done it 20 times this year, have tried it, and they've completed successfully 75%. 15 of 20 times they've gone for it in 4th down and made it. Here's Brunell standing in, makes the throw, and it's incomplete at the 19-yard line. Jimmy Smith, the target. Case Faharn, number 34, who was a substitute school teacher before he joined the Bengals.
Well, you can learn something from him right here. This is excellent defense by Case Faharn. Plants, comes back, no false steps, and gets the off arm in on Jimmy Smith. And that was excellent defense. And every time you see Jimmy Smith in single coverage, you think Mark Brunell's going to try and find him, and that time he was well covered.
That's Smith at the top of the screen. Case Faharn right up on him. He's going to try to slow him up off the snap. Now he backs off. Now looking that way. They call that a fast out. And the defense backs off Jimmy Smith. Brunell and he have right in the same page as far as a quick hitch, quick throw.
And you look at this as he catches this ball out here, gets pushed out of bounds. You see the frustration as he spikes the football after the play's over. This is a guy that's used to catching 100 balls a year, well over 1,000 yards, and this year it's just been impossible for him. I mean, that's the frustration coming out in Jimmy Smith. He wants to contribute more, and he's not been able to.
But he still is up 70 catches for the year, although last year he had a lot more than that. Last year he had almost 1,400 receiving yards. Here's a blitz, and Brunell sacked at the 27-yard line. The 3rd sack today of Brunell. Glenn Steele is coming, and Corey Hall coming in as a safety, number 26.
Yeah, Corey Hall made this play. He came in. Fred Taylor tried to cut block him, and he jumped right over the top of it. Corey Hall made a great athletic play. And this is Hall right up here. He's going to come in on the blitz, and you watch as they try. Fred Taylor's going to move over, try and cut him, and he just jumps over it, and Mark Brunell is caught. A great play by an athletic defensive back, and that's one of the times when the Bengals tried to blitz to get to Brunell, and they finally got home.
Well, these guys are good in 4th down, but this one's a little more difficult. 4th down and 6 from the 26. Will the blitzers be coming now? Looks like they are. They're starting to align people. Here come the blitzers. Brunell stands in, lobs a long ball to Jimmy Smith. Touchdown. The absolute brilliance of Brunell to Smith for 26 yards and a touchdown.
The Bengals gambled
4th down.
They gambled on 4th down, brought the blitz, and Jimmy Smith was single covered once again. They covered him a moment ago with Case Faharn, but Jeff Burris got burnt on the near side by one of the great receivers in the league. You take it for granted sometimes that a guy's been taken out of the game. Maybe he's not feeling himself. You come up with all kinds of excuses, but I'll tell you what, Jimmy Smith, when you single cover him more often than not, you're going to get beat. Watch right here. Jeff Burris just has no chance, no help. The sideline's there, and when you've got an accurate passer like Mark Brunell, you know the ball's going to be right where they need it.
Well, that's the 44th time in their careers at Jacksonville that Brunell and Jimmy Smith have combined on a touchdown pass. 44 times.
And now they're going to go for 2 here because of the 5-point differential.
Jimmy Smith is high at the top of your screen. He's the farthest guy up. They go to the run, and they get the 2-point conversion going to Fred Taylor. So from behind, they rally with an 8-point touchdown, and they take a 22-15 lead. We'll be back for the Jaguars kickoff after this.
A special holiday treat, the NFL on Saturday. Ricky Williams drives Miami into Minnesota as the Dolphins fight for first in the AFC East next Saturday on CBS.
4th and 6. What do you do if you're Mark Brunell? You throw to Jimmy Smith for a touchdown and then get the 2-point conversion. And the Jaguars down by a point. All of a sudden have a 7-point lead. And here comes Brandon Bennett, the AFC's leading kickoff returner. Gets it out to the 35-yard line. Jimmy Smith on the payoff end gives it the shoulder shake.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by IBM, taking business to the next level with e-business on demand. And by Zales, the Diamond Store.
Don Criqui with Steve Tasker back at Paul Brown Stadium. Bengals have the ball down by 7. Dillon. A whole lot of nothing today for Corey Dillon against this defense. Log on to NFL.com and get the latest insight from Boomer Esiason on the maturation of young quarterbacks. It's only at NFL.com or on America Online. Enter keyword NFL.com.
You can see Corey Dillon in that last play. The Bengals got to remember one thing. Now that running play, Corey Dillon's not getting it going. They got to remember that their bread and butter is not the run game right now. It's the passing game. Don't get discouraged because the run's not working. Be thankful that your passing game is. Look for the positives, and they're not doing that right now.
Now they play fake. A good rollout. Looking for an open guy. None to be found except a dump off to the tight end, Matt Schobel. But on 2nd down and 12, they get a gain of about 2 yards.
Yeah, and the thing is, you can see it in the Bengals, their body language. They just expect themselves something bad to happen. Dillon, fake run. You can see his body language after that last run. John Kitna running out to the side, even on this little dump-off pass. All this stuff, because it's not a big play or something, you can see their body language, their shoulders slump. All of a sudden, the momentum in the air has just gone out of them.
Well, now it's up to Kitna to pump him back up with a 3rd down throw. He converted so well in the first half, but now with a blitz on him, it's not picked up. Aiken Adele coming up the middle unimpeded. He has to throw the ball away.
This is when you need John Kitna to step over on this bench and say, listen, guys, it was a bad series. Don't worry about it. They came 1, 2, 3 and out. They got stuffed on the 1st down run and then couldn't make anything happen on 2nd and 3rd. You just got to make sure you keep on keeping on. You're only 1 touchdown down. A lot of football to be played, and you've been successful thus far in the game. You got to stay into this game if you're the offense. You know you're going to get your chance.
An extra man on the field after the Jaguars punted the ball away, kept their drive alive, and they subsequently scored a touchdown on the throw on 4th down to take the lead. Bengal special teams about as bad as they get. They've had 9 returns for touchdowns against their special teams this year. Here's Bobby Shaw running back the punt for Jacksonville. He's to the 34-yard line. Brad St. Louis brings him down. And Mark Brunell and the Jags ready to go back on the field. Can the Jaguars keep it going now, rallying from behind to take a 7-point lead? Looking to shorten the game now as they run the ball with the lead. Fred Taylor takes a couple of shots. I mean, Taylor's been in the lineup every step of the way this season, something he's not done his entire career up to now. He's been hurt every year. Tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes. Then it's 60 Minutes of comedy with Becker and Yestier, followed by the CBS Sunday movie The Man Who Saved Christmas, starring Jason Alexander. It's all here tonight on CBS, America's most watched network. Jason with that retro look there.
That's right.
Goes back to about 1890. Second down, just over 10. Here come the blitzers. Brunell, he's been picked up, makes the throw, beautifully orchestrated. We get it to Pete Mitchell over the middle, and he's to the 39-yard line. Brunell really there, Steve, just feathering the ball in.
Yeah, that's ball control offense. Even in the passing game, they're mounting the long handoffs. Either give it to Fred Taylor or toss the ball about 5 yards down the field to one of the tight ends or the running backs, maybe one of the wide receivers staying close. They're not going to do anything that risks possession of the football. They want to keep the chains moving and, like you said, Don, shorten this game so that the Bengals offense can't score.
See, we're now inside of 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. Brunell, timing throw, a little too much on it, looking at Bobby Shaw. Pressure was coming up the middle. Theo spikes, Brian Simmons gets some pressure, so a third down if they fail to convert it. Now the Jaguars will punt the ball back to Cincinnati.
And that was one of the few passes you'll see Mark Brunell throw that wasn't exactly where he wanted it to be. It's just too high and outside for Bobby Shaw to pull in on third down.
Hansen booms the ball. Left foot's a knuckler downfield. Here comes Hushmanzada running it back. Almost found a gap, and the special team sweeps him under. Bengals will start at their 29-yard line after a 37-yard punt and a 7-yard return.
Now the Bengals have to get back to what they're doing in the first drive of the second half. Just keep it methodically down the field and get some confidence back.
Next Saturday, the playoff race rolls on with a special Saturday edition of the NFL on CBS. Ricky Williams and the Dolphins take on the Vikings. The excitement begins with Jim, Dion, Dan, and Boomer on the NFL Today at a special time. For more, go to NFL.com. America Online keyword NFL.com. First down, Bengals. Hitner getting a good look downfield, throws it near side, gets his tight end, a rookie. Nance Schobel with his third catch of the day.
Oh, they took back the spot. One spot was past the first down marker, and the other official came back and took 3 yards back. You watch here's John Kitna finds Schobel going out to the left. And this is one thing that the Bengals fight against. In years past, they have not been able to get it going after some bad things have happened. But because of John Kitna's steady hand at the wheel, he's managed to find guys and include everybody in the offense and keep this offense productive in the dark times.
Well, Kitna is a terrific leader, and he grades out as one of the NFL's best quarterbacks, particularly in the last 7 games. Now Dillon finds an open gap, and finally Corey Dillon breaks the play. A 17-yarder.
There he is. There's a little sense of fright. We saw Jimmy Smith spike the ball in frustration after a catch, and there's Corey Dillon showing a little frustration after a nice run, finally finding some open area to get some yardage for the Bengals. Corey Dillon, who's been taking a beating in the past month, finally finds some open ground, and there you see it gets up, signals for the first down.
And Lorenzo Neal there, Steve, with a knockout lead block. Right back to Dillon. He's starting to get a little momentum now as he runs the ball down to the 41-yard line. T.J. Slaughter on the stop.
There's one guy you don't want to get momentum to. It's Corey Dillon. I mean, this is a downhill, hard-nosed runner, difficult to tackle. You don't bring him down with one arm. You slip. I mean, he slips a lot of tackles. For as big as he is, he's awfully difficult to find in a small space in traffic.
Another attribute he's got, last year they rated him the fastest Bengal at 6'1", 225. Play fake, getting the looks, makes the throw. That's Lorenzo Neal. And he's not looking to get hit, he's looking to hit you.
Yeah, he was looking for somebody to hit. Well, now we got a scuffle. No, they're all right. Having some fun.
And they have to compliment the officials not throwing a flag. I mean, it is football. That's the end of the third quarter with the Jaguars leading 22-15. We'll return to Paul Brown Stadium right after this word from your local station.
Nothing says...
NFL Sunday Ticket is brought to you in part by Expedia.com.
Coach Tom Coughlin has seen his team come from behind in the third quarter with an 8-point touchdown, a 6-point scoring throw to Jimmy Smith, and then the 2-point run by Taylor. And now the Bengals trying to answer in the fourth quarter. Third down coming up. They need a long two. They don't get it. Will their offense stay on the field? You would hope it would. It is.
Yeah, I agree with that. 4th and 2, and then we've seen a lot of 4th downs gone for today, Don, by both clubs. I think that's indicative of two teams that really want to win this game, and two coaching staffs that have a sense of urgency about risk-taking today. I mean, this is neither team may be going to the playoffs, but I think they want to find some things out and show their team how committed they are and how much confidence they have in their players.
Well, now the Bengals need a little over 2 yards in 4th down. There's a throw, and it's broken up beautifully, and the Jaguars take over the ball. A clean breakup. Eric Westmoreland, 52, got a hand in there right on time. They were looking at Brandon Bennett. So the Jaguars, with the lead, take over the ball when we come back. With Steve Tasker, this is Don Criqui back at Paul Brown Stadium. The Jaguars in the lead and with the ball as we're in the 4th quarter now. 14:52 to play in it. Brunell hands off to Fred Taylor. I think the remarkable thing about these running backs, Steve, and you play with one of the best, Thurman Thomas at Buffalo, is how many times they take these unbelievable hits and they come right back. How do they do it?
Not only they come back, they hop right up. I mean, that's when you start running the football at 8 years old, Don, you learn by trial and error how to run in there and accept that punishment without it hurting you too badly. And the great ones have ability with speed and elusiveness to do even greater things once they learn that lesson.
Fred sure learned that lesson. Here is Brunell. Man, he takes a shot. Brunell takes a shot to the ribs, and he congratulates the hitter. And the hitter helps up the hittee. That was Tony Williams who got him.
Tony Williams going to leave him laying there. But Brunell does a nice job. He had no chance to complete this pass. He lets this ball go. He throws this into the ground. And I'm telling you, you talk about punishment, that hurts. Right? If you're asking yourself at home, you think what it feels like, it hurts. There's no two ways about it. It hurts. And these guys hop back up and continue to play.
That's the business they're in. That's what they do. Jaguars have not turned the ball over now, going on 3 straight games. Third down, and Mark Brunell, not liking what he sees on the defense, calls a timeout. So with 14:11 to go in the game, the Jags call a timeout.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Acura and the 260 horsepower TL Type S. The new Remington Microscreen TCT. What a great shave feels like. And by Olympus Digital Cameras. Nothing's out of the question. Nothing's holding you back. Nothing's impossible. Olympus.
A good time had by all. That little lady, her brother, just tried to get some of her Coke, and she waved him off.
Gave him the stiff arm. Gave him the Heisman.
Here is a 3rd down and 8 play coming up now for Mark Brunell. The blitzers are aligned. Everybody's coming. And Brunell, they pick him up good. And the throw, it looks like a completion. It is. It's a beautifully executed play to Jimmy Smith, a 13-yard gain.
That's been the story of the day, Don. The Bengals blitz, and Mark Brunell looks for Jimmy Smith. They pick it up this time. He has plenty of time to get this ball off, and he lofts it out to Jimmy Smith, who goes down and makes the tough catch on the ground. Jeff Burris on an island by himself.
That's a big league play, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
They had 3 blitzers coming at him along with the regular 4-down lineman. And he makes the perfect throw, and Smith, an excellent catch. Jimmy Smith having a big day. 7 catches, 98 yards, and a touchdown. And they're not done. Fred Taylor. Rude welcome. Let's now go to New York and to Jim Nantz, where Marvin Harrison's showing his greatness.
Yes, he has, Don. He has set the record today, most catches in a season by a receiver, and later hauls this one in from Manning. Remember, they were down 16-0, now 16-14, moving in on the Browns with a final minute of play in the 3rd quarter. Let's go back to Don and Steve.
Thank you, Jim. Those teams fighting for their lives. The Colts at one point 2 weeks ago, they had the road to the Super Bowl going through Indianapolis in the AFC, but now 2 straight losses, and they're in trouble. Here's a throw, and Fred Taylor running in the open field with a lot of blockers, and he is out of bounds down to the 27-yard line. Juwan Armour gets him out of bounds.
And that's one of the things. It's kind of like the old oh-no screen. What happens is everybody moves out to the right of the offense. The defense says, oh, we got them. They're all going right. And then they go, oh, no. There's Fred Taylor, and there's nobody out there. And they've got this name by you run that in practice, and the defense all yells out the same thing at the same time when they realize they've been had.
Don Shula once cut a player for missing a blitz pickup, and a reporter asked him, isn't that a little mistake? And then Shula responded, what's a little mistake? Well, how about the little mistake when the Bengals had too many people on the field on a Jaguar punt, and it enabled the Jaguars to keep the ball and take the lead?
You're right, there are no little mistakes, and when you make little mistakes against an accurate passer like Mark Brunell with the weapons he has, you know, they come back to haunt you. You think the things that Mark Brunell does so well, and we said it before, the ball goes where he aims it. Where he throws it, it's catchable. He throws it to the right guy and gives him a chance to make plays. I mean, look at these catches. These guys are turning, the ball's in their face. Tough not to catch it.
Jaguars executing beautifully now, in command of the game with a 7-point lead.
Play clock. They got him. There's a rare mistake by the Jaguars.
5-yard penalty. First down.
Second time it's happened on this drive, Don. Once they took a timeout, and this time it burned them.
But it is still the right call rather than snap the ball and people out of position.
Yeah, but you think about it. Those Mark Brunell, you got to think something mechanical's wrong. 2 times in a row. The first time they had to burn a timeout was when he took that big hit on the sack. A lot of times you'll see a quarterback, you know, take a little extra time to gather himself, and because of that, they run out of the play clock. On this one, there was no excuse. They should have gotten that play off.
That is only the 8th penalty, though, Steve, on the Jaguars over the last 3 games. Wow. These guys seem to do everything right but win. Right now, they're winning. Here's a handoff, and Fred Taylor. Fred, it's good to see him back in great form. I mean, this guy's heading towards a 1,500-yard rushing season. And they've had him for the whole year, too.
You know, you think about the things we've been talking about with these Jaguars. They don't get penalized very much. They don't turn the football over. And they've got some great weapons offensively. You try and then as the season winds down, they're not going to make the playoffs. You think, okay, what's their problem? And one of the things that jumps out at you is their offensive line.
Well, we talked to the owner, Wayne Weaver, and asked him about what he project as improving areas. The first thing he said was offensive line. Here's Pete Mitchell making a grab and getting down close to the 3-yard line.
Well, you think about it, they lost Tony Baselli, had injuries on the offensive line, and really that's the only difference other than Keenan McCardell's absence that is on this offense. And their tight ends have been extremely productive, and this is what they're looking at in the draft. And these guys are all college players coming out, and you know, these are the guys you look at, the offensive tackles. Guards usually don't go very high in the draft unless they're special.
Jordan Gross is an absolute dominator. He's a Boselli quality tackle. Nobody's heard much about him because he's a Utah. But he'll go in the top 5 picks, maybe the top 3. And that will take it in for a touchdown as Stacey Mack is on the payoff end.
And that, you can just feel the life go out of the Bengals. Stacey Mack has more touchdowns than Fred Taylor, the #1 back, because of this. He's a good short yardage goal line runner. He has a nose for the end zone like not very many guys you'll see. The only guy I've ever seen that has a better knack for that was Marcus Allen. When he got down close, you couldn't keep him out of the end zone. Stacey Mack's that type of guy.
Yeah, he really can find his way. So the dominance of the Bengals, or the Jaguars over the Bengals. Jags now en route to beating the Bengals 10 of 12 meetings.
For Ove.
Mark Brunell having a big day. 18 of 26 for 220 yards and 3 touchdowns, mistake-free. And Taylor running the ball well. 16 carries, 68 yards. Now the kickoff, and here comes Brandon Bennett. Finds his way up the middle of the field and gets close to the 39-yard line.
Flag down,
penalty marker down, yeah.
I think that was on the kicking team. One of the players from Jacksonville came in and took on a block low. Yeah, Lorenzo Neal, the lead blocker, got taken out at the knees. You can't do that. The kicking team cannot come in and take on a blocker low on a kickoff and that's what happened. Lorenzo Neal got cut, and you can't do that either on either side of the ball.
Foul, block below the waist. Number 21 of the kicking team. 15-yard penalty enforced from the end of the run. First down.
It's on Steve Smith.
And you see here as the return takes shape, Lorenzo Neal waits for the guy to get him right here. Watch the blocker come in and take him on very low. You can't do that. They do that for player protection for obvious reasons. I mean, it's like jumping out of the back of a pickup truck sometime going at 60 miles an hour and hitting a telephone pole. I mean, they do that so somebody doesn't get really badly hurt.
Well, they start off with good field position. Bengals have to win 2 of their last 3 to avert the worst record in the franchise history, and that's saying something. The Bengals, a team that was 3-13 4 times in the decade of the 90s. But they could be hurting. How low can you go to the all-time low? Coming up on the Subway postgame show, join Jim, Dion, Dan, and Boomer for all of today's scores and highlights. All coming up on the Subway postgame show as we're down the stretch run of the NFL season. And the games seem to get bigger. Steve, what's the key? You went to 4 straight Super Bowls with the Bills to playing your best football when everybody's nicked up. And
you'll see a lot of guys say this, a lot of coaches say this. The important thing is to stay in the present moment. After the last play is over, forget it. Look at the guy across from you, think about your assignment, and execute it on that play. Don't worry about any picture bigger than the one sitting right in front of you.
good advice. Here is Kitna standing in, and he has the ball slapped away. What they're all running for, it's an incomplete pass, but that shows the spirit of the Jaguars. They're out here to win this game.
Well, they're going after it, and that's what happens when you get in a game. These guys have been in games where they've gotten beat by 2 points 5 times. Well, actually, an average of 2 points, 5 games. They know that every play is precious. These games for the Jaguars throughout the course of this season have turned on 2 to 3 plays during the course of 4 quarters. They're smart enough to know that you got to stay on your toes every single play.
It has now thrown 4 straight incompletions. Now he goes to a long ball, and it's picked off. What a play by Jason Kraft, his 3rd interception of the season. Kraft going high.
And John Kitna just didn't put enough on that as he drops back, tried to find Ron Dugans, and Jason Kraft was underneath.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Hewlett-Packard, HP Digital Imaging. When it's this easy, why not? And by Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Be you, nothing's better. Dr. Pepper.
Back to Paul Brown Stadium, an unseasonably warm December day. And it's to Jacksonville's liking as they've now come from behind in the second half and take a commanding lead, and they have the ball with 9:27 left to play. On first down, they go to the money back, Fred Taylor. And he goes nowhere, but that's fine with the Jaguars as they run the clock. Let's watch that play now, Steve, by Jason Kraft. As good as it gets.
Yeah, you know, John Kitna is going to come back and throw to the slot receiver, Ron Dugans, who's running the corner out and just can't get enough on this. He throws this out. He's got to put a little more. You see as Dugans is turned back toward Kitna, he should be facing the sidelines, catching that ball out in front of him. And John Kitna knows he just underthrew that pass, and it led to the interception.
Now let's see what Brunell goes to on 2nd down and 10. Well, it's Fred Taylor. Again, a very short gain as he gets to about the 27-yard line. Middle linebacker Brian Simmons comes up to get him. Juwan Armour also on the stop. The quarterback ratings, look at Brunell. He's up to 133.5. You don't get a lot higher than that.
It's the point. It used to be Corey Dillon. Now it's John Kitna. As goes Kitna, so go the Cincinnati Bengals. And that is as bad a performance as John Kitna's had all season.
Well, his quarterback rating plummeted, and nothing knocks it down quite like an interception. One of the things that doesn't knock it down is sacks. That's why some quarterbacks are criticized. They'll take sacks rather than put the ball up under duress. Brunell throwing a catch by Pete Mitchell. Mitchell with the early drop, but he's caught everything since, including one for a touchdown.
You can tell how conservative Jacksonville has gotten with their offense. 2 runs and then a quick pass out to the flat. They're just making sure they don't turn the football over. the 2-touchdown lead, you can do that. But in games in the past, Jacksonville hasn't had that much of a cushion to work with. And now they can afford to do that.
There's Hushmanzada back to return the punt. Chris Hansen left foots the ball, hits a beauty. Hushmanzada backpedaling to his 17-yard line. Finds a channel down the sideline, and Hushmanzada is all the way out to midfield. A terrific return, and he sets up the Bengals with a 1st and 10 at their 50, right at midfield.
Whenever you get to this point in the season, Don, and you're struggling like the Bengals have all year, you start thinking about next season, and they've got a 2-game cushion on the #1 pick in the draft. You heard the guys on the NFL Today making light of the fact that it's probably going to be Carson Palmer. I don't know about that.
No, it's not going to be.
I think if I'm the Bengals, the one thing that a team can't get enough of these days is draft picks. And that #1 pick for Carson Palmer may be worth a handful.
Well, the Bears would probably go high to get that #1 pick and get Palmer. I think they like Kitna here. They really need a dominating defensive lineman. Jimmy Kennedy of Penn State, and I talked to some Bengal people. They think that here's a throw and a catch to Chad Johnson. That William Joseph of Miami of Florida is an absolute dominator.
Yeah, and that's what they're going to be looking at as this season winds down. They need some defensive players, and I think one thing, they need a defensive pass rusher. They need somebody that can get after the quarterback, and they need also a shutdown cornerback. They need somebody who can take Jimmy Smith, for instance, out of the football game.
Well, they might get one, but they only get first-round pick. They're going to go defensive line. Ron Dugans turns it upfield, gets inside the 30 and down to the 28-yard line. Still 6:36 left to play. Ike Charlton gets him out of bounds. But the Bengal offense showing signs of life.
And, you know, the old people back in Jacksonville are going, what are you doing? We've been here before. You know, you've had a lead. Don't let them get back in this football game where you've got 7 points to play with and you're 1 play away from losing this football game. Jacksonville has lost so many games because they've turned a little conservative or something has gone wrong, and then they end up in a tight one.
Well, they sure end up in tight ones, usually on the wrong end. Getting the throws, and his receiver looked to lose his footing. Ron Dugans out of Florida State made a move on the ball, but couldn't get to it.
He just couldn't get out of his break. And kept his feet, and Kitna threw the ball on time, and Dugans wasn't ready for it, and it ended up in an incomplete pass. But you know, you think about these Jaguars. Remember just a week ago where they got into a no-huddle Hail Mary desperation drive by the Browns and just couldn't cope with it, and ended up in the wrong coverage at the end of the game and lost because of it.
It's not easy out there. Kitna taking a look, ready to go downfield. Here come the rushers. Kitna, he's got room to run. Then he dumps it off to Brandon Bennett. He gets down to the 15-yard line.
What a heads-up play by Kitna.
12-yard gain and a first down.
Just feathered the ball, kind of pump fake, stretched the defense, held on to it, and then just lofted it with a feathered touch so Brandon Bennett could come down with it. Watch as he looks, just, you know, like to your brother in the backyard. Just you go over and I'll just toss it over the hedge to you. Touchdown for us, first down for us.
Kitna taking a look. Well, he sees everybody. He makes the throw and a connection. That's Hushmanzada. He's heading down close. Is he in?
Got it.
The touchdown signal with 5:28 to play. Well, my friends, before this sparse crowd at Cincinnati, it's not over yet.
It is not over until it's over. Great play. One official down at the bottom of the field gave him the touchdown. Now they're talking it over. Great play you saw there by Hushmanzada, the guy who started all with a punt return.
On the field as the runner is short of the goal line. First out.
Now they're taking it back. And here's a look at it. We'll see if he gets in. You'll see Kitna find him. He's going to break this tackle, sidestep another tackle, and then reach for the end zone. Does it get in? No, he didn't. That was a good call by the officials. He was short. He was short.
But the nose of the ball is spotted almost at the goal line.
But this is all too familiar to Jacksonville. Now they've got to come up, and they can't afford to be that conservative now offensively if they get this ball back after Cincinnati scores a touchdown.
They don't have Dillon in the backfield. They have Brandon Bennett in, and they play fake to him. Kitna's got room to run it in. He took too long. Man, he could have walked in if he took off right away.
Yeah, that's a guy. Kittner came out on the rollout with there's flags on the play. But Kittner rolled out and he went too deep.
Jaguars are saying it's against the Bengals. And the unhappy story for Dick LeBeau and his Bengals may be unfolding again. Nose of the ball almost at the goal line. And now could it be a penalty that'll set them back? They didn't have Corey Dillon in there in that set. They had Coach Coughlin.
He can't decide whether he wants to take the penalty. Take the penalty, give him first down again. Instead of taking second down and goal on the 2, he wants first and goal on the 5.
Motion, number 30 offense. Penalty is being accepted. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
I think that's a break for Cincinnati.
Well, I don't know. I don't think so. Not the way the ball was spotted. See how deep Kittner rolls out past the 10-yard line, and then he can't threaten the defense with the run because they can close so fast.
No, I mean, I think taking the penalty, they got 4 downs again now.
Yeah, but I still think I move him back. I move him back to the 6-yard line. I think that's the right call.
Well,
you give them back a down, but you get some breathing room for your defense. So if you give up a 2-yard run, it's not a touchdown.
They're going to throw. Dillon's not in the backfield. First and goal from just outside the 5. Here's the throw. Almost picked off.
Fernando Bryant had it in his hands. Chad Johnson twisted his ankle on his break and couldn't get up to the football. And Fernando Bryant had nobody there to contest the football and couldn't pull it in. They had 3 wide receivers to the left and only Chad Johnson down to the right. And you see him go down. And Fernando Bryant.
He was almost off.
Yeah.
To the races.
That was almost.
So now we come, excuse me, Steve, down to second and goal from just outside the 5-yard line. Still, as you see, 4:55 left to play in the game. Kittner, here come the blitzers. Kittner throws it up for grabs. Caught? No. Caught and lost. 3rd down and goal.
Well, it turns out now that
penalty marker in the end zone. Could be 1st and goal at the 1.
Well, that penalty that Tom Coughlin accepted would become a moot point. It's against the Bengals. Tom Coughlin, as it turns out, took the penalty on that illegal motion. It was the right call. And now the Bengals have hurt themselves again.
Number 81 offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
Tough call.
Those are the calls you get when you're 1-12 and sinking.
Watch, John Kittner's going to feel the pressure. That's Eric Westmoreland chasing him down up there at the 25. Lost it up for grabs.
Where's the foul?
Now it's going to be on. Yeah, they called it on Dugans, who almost brings this down. He was pushing off Jason Kraft to get back up there. No, I haven't seen it yet. He almost came down with it.
Man, that's a really tough call. Now it's second and goal from the 15. They could be punting before this is over. Throw to the end zone. Oh. Chad Johnson had it and lost it. Ike Charlton might have helped him along with that. Got his arm after the ball came in. And we go to 3rd down and goal from the 15. I never saw a push-up that you would indicate penalty on the offense.
No, I didn't. It must have been earlier than the replay indicated. And this is, this is 3rd. They went from 1st and goal on the 2, or on the less than a 1-yard line, to 3rd and goal on the 16-yard line, and that's the way it's been down close. Jacksonville defense has done an outstanding job, aided by the penalties to the Bengals.
Bengals, Steve, haven't screened the ball all day, haven't thrown a screen pass all day. They do not show you the unexpected. Now they go to the draw to Corey Dillon. That got him a yard. So it'll be 4th down. I guess that was the unexpected, but they do it. Well, something else that they had to do.
You said it. That was unexpected for me. 3rd and goal from the 16, and you get handed off on the draw. You don't think Corey Dillon was too excited about that play call. But now, after that, now they've got to throw it. I mean, now there's no choice.
Now you're looking at 4th down and goal from the 14-yard line. Blitzers are ready to come. Kidna stands in. There's the throw. There's a foul in the end zone. Man, no flag.
Oh, no flag. You and I saw the same thing, Don.
Receiver was grabbed.
That looked like pass interference by Danny Clark in the end zone, and there was no flag, and John Kidna is letting them hear about it. There was some bad contact in the end zone, and John Kidna is not a guy that beefs very much. And when he does, you can bet he's got a good reason to. He threw this ball right down the hash mark into the end zone. Right here is Danny Clark. And I mean, he's not looking for the ball. He had a handful of Ron Dugan's jersey. Right here's the receiver that's going to get interfered with, at least the way Don and I see it. And he's not, and that's, you can't touch him after 5 yards down the field, and he grabbed him. That's a penalty.
But so it goes for the worst team in football over a 12-year period, the losingest. But I'll tell you something ironic. We asked Don Capers, the coach of the Houston Texans, who's the best team you've seen this year, and he's played a lot of good ones. He said clearly the best team we've seen is the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, the Cincinnati Bengals lumped them up 38-7, or 38-8. Juwan Armour's having trouble getting up.
Monday on an all-new Late Show, Dave's got Catherine Zeta-Jones, and later this week, don't miss Denzel Washington, Drew Barrymore, L.A. Lakers star Kobe Bryant, and Tom Hanks. It's all new Dave all week this week on CBS, America's most watched network.
Juwan Armour making his way off the field, seems to be okay.
Still 3:39 left to play. You see the clock running. Jaguars with a big game next week. They'd like to derail Tennessee when they come into Alltel Stadium. Here's the handoff. Stacey Mack runs the ball and runs the clock. A 6-yard gain on the play.
Well, after dodging the bullet, after a 1st and goal on the 1, now the Jacksonville Jaguars can go right back to their conservative game plan, run the clock, try and get first downs, and they're doing it against a Cincinnati defense that is all but given up.
Well, you look at what just happened. I mean, they had the nose of the ball at the goal line. They end up throwing an incomplete pass on 4th down from the 15.
2 penalties, 1 questionable in the end zone, and then don't get a penalty in their favor that should have been called. I mean, that's tough to take.
But this whole game, Steve, if you harken back, it really turned on one play when the Bengals had too many men on the field for their punt return unit. The Jaguars were behind 15-14. They had to punt the ball. Too many men on the field, gave them a 1st down.
Well, it gave them 4th. It went from 4th and 6 to 4th and 1, and then the Jaguars went for it, and they did it. And that was the only reason they went for it, was because of the penalty. And you're right, Don. When you look back across the game, they had to burn a timeout because they didn't have enough men on a field goal. Then they had too many men on a punt return, and it's just been one more thing after another for the Bengals, and they haven't been able to recover.
Bengals have just called a timeout. The worst NFL season records. The S will fall off. Look at that.
And you know,
that's how bad it is.
The thing is, I'm surprised Cincinnati's not in there already. I mean, they have been the worst, had the worst record for 10 years, and yet they've never posted a 1-15. Well,
however, they have posted 4 3-13s in the decade of the 90s.
And they're about to go 1-13 today.
Bengals have never been 1-13. They're scouting new ground here. Now rolling out, head to the sideline if nobody's open, and he throws the ball away. Nicely caught by an assistant coach of the Bengals. It's easy, guys. So now the game clock's down to 2:28 left to play. 3rd down and 9 comes up for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Brunell telling us yesterday, this is a game we should win. But remember, the last time he said that to us was in Houston.
Yeah, and they got beat. He also said it's a game we should win, but we've lost some should-win games before this season.
Yes, and what went wrong? He said you got to put a bottom line. It's just mistakes. I mean, they're the only team with a plus margin on turnovers that has a losing record this season, are the Jaguars. Mack runs on 3rd down, and they are content to run the ball down to the 2-minute warning and then punt it.
And Cincinnati will take a timeout to stop the clock.
turnover count, an interesting correlation between winning usually, except in the case of the Jaguars.
And that's
one team.
Yeah, that's it right there at 5-8. It's amazing that they're the only team that's that good and yet that poor at the same time. You know, I think you say, well, and a lot of people, it's funny, they blame Tom Coughlin for it. I don't blame him. I give him the credit for it. That's tough to make a team that well disciplined that's just not good enough to win. And they continue to be well disciplined, play mostly mistake-free football, and stay in games in a season where they should be, by all rights, before the season started, should have been a 3-13 year for them.
Well, they have 25 new players, 18 new veterans, 7 rookies on the Jaguars roster after that salary cap purge. And now Hushmanzada is corralled and knocked down at the 25-yard line. And the Bengals will try again, futile as it may be, down 29-15 with 2:09 left to play. Almost to the 2-minute warning.
Yeah, it's pretty tough to come up with 2 touchdowns in 2:09, but yet that's what we thought about Cleveland last week as Tim Couch threw an interception with less than 2.5 minutes to go, down by 3 points, and then still ended up winning the football game. I mean, this...
What do you think is going to be in the Super Bowl? I think Tampa Bay and New England.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think it'd be a better story if Tampa Bay and Oakland made it, though.
Yeah. New England's, they're going to be tough to beat down the stretch. If they get home, if they win out, they have a home field in the AFC. Chad Johnson gets the ball out to the 44-yard line. He has a first down as we come to the 2-minute warning on an 18-yard pass play for the Bengals.
Yes, Monday.
Bag ladies are out here in Cincinnati, where the Jaguars are in command of the game. As John Kitna brings his team up to the line of scrimmage. Don Criqui with Steve Tasker, reiterating again our conversation with Wayne Weaver. The first response he had when we asked him about how does he assess his coach, he said, I think Tom Coughlin is a great coach. So you get the feeling, well, he didn't come out and say that Coughlin is going to be back definitely next year. You got the feeling, Steve, there's very little chance that he won't be back.
Well, I think he also knows he's a great coach, and he also knows they're under extenuating circumstances this year. They're still a well-coached football team, and every club will make changes in the offseason depending on how they played during the season. You can tell probably there'll be some changes in that organization. They had a lot of new players this year, but I think one thing that is good about the Jacksonville system is that there's some stability there within the process of change.
Here's the throw in the flat and the completion. Brandon Bennett makes the play. And the Bengals going through an offensive exercise now, albeit too little, far too late. But yeah, these guys are going to draft offensive line. They're going to probably bring in somebody to assist in personnel. Whether or not Coughlin will have a final say on all personnel, or just get some help in picking people.
Yeah, he might, you know, we did their game last week against Cleveland in Jacksonville, and you and I said, you know, Tom Coughlin would be better served if he had an offensive coordinator.
Yes, he brought that up to you yesterday.
Yeah, he didn't like fumble.
John Kitna hit from behind. And do the Jaguars have the ball?
If the Jaguars have the ball, they'll be able to run the clock out. And they do. And John Kitna standing in the pocket and the pressure as the Jaguars know that he's going to drop back and throw the football. Marco Coleman there, you saw number 91, is going to get back in and snap the ball out of there. And then it's laying in there, and I'm telling you, Don, that is a nasty, nasty place to be in the bottom of that pile.
You've been down there. You can lose fingers down there.
Yeah, you can use your life down there. It feels like when you. I'm telling you, the devil lives at the bottom of an NFL pile, and I'm convinced.
I tell you, it's interesting now. Coughlin and his Jaguars go back to Alltel Stadium, and their playoff game is next week. These guys don't like Tennessee, and vice versa. I mean, you know, Jeff Fisher making the remark, we have 2 home fields, our own and Alltel Stadium.
Well, he's harkening back to '99 when Jacksonville was 14-3. The only 3 games they lost were to the Tennessee Titans.
And we remind you that coming up on the Subway postgame show, Jim, Dion, Dan, and Boomer have all of today's scores and highlights coming up momentarily on the Subway postgame show. 1:23 left to go. The Jaguars en route to a 6-8 record. If they win out at home against Tennessee and on the road against Indianapolis, they would be 8-8 on the year. But yeah, it was the year that the Jaguars a 15-3 record, and all 3 losses were to Tennessee. That was the year that, of course, the Titans went to the Super Bowl.
And that's tough to take. But Tom Coughlin keeps this team steady.
Stacey Mack, big, powerful protector of the ball, runs it down to the 37-yard line. Mack's in the backfield. The Jaguars have not fumbled the ball this year.
And there you see an all-time smallest.
That's the announced crowd.
That's the announced crowd of 42,092, the smallest in the history of the stadium.
If there's 42,000 here, it's a late arriving crowd, so some aren't here yet.
Late arriving or early departing.
And believe it or not, Steve, if the Bengals, they need to win at home next week against the Saints, a tough order, or they'll be winless at home this year.
That is not a way to sell tickets.
Well, Jay Glazer on the NFL Today on CBS pregame show said that he has information that Mike Brown, the president and owner of the Cincinnati Bengals, has been in contact with people in the league office and other contacts around the NFL talking about a possible management individual to bring in. No confirmation whatsoever of any of that from the Bengals.
And Mark Brunell trying to get the first down on 3rd and 2 and did not make it. Interesting play here.
We've tried to talk with Mike Brown, but he is not doing interviews. His one statement he made, he said he will make any announcement about the future of the organization after the final game at Buffalo, December 29th.
Well, you think about the way things work, and Wayne Weaver, the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, has been quoted as saying, if you do the same thing, expect different results, that's when you need to make a change. And for the people here in Cincinnati, they've seen the same thing for a lot of years, and they would like to see a change of some greater magnitude than they've seen in the past 10 years.
Yeah, that's one individual's definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Well, they've gotten the exact same result here in Cincinnati since the early 90s. And
we're going to be going right to Jim Nantz in New York when this is over. There's some exciting finishes going on around the NFL. But right now, Mark Brunell, his job well done. 19 of 28, 223 yards, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers, and look at the quarterback rating.
Last week he had under 80 yards passing for the game against Cleveland. And in a game they probably should have won if it weren't for an unbelievable last play.
Right now there's a lot of stuff going on in Cleveland. The Colts have come from behind there. Not over yet. 4th down, the snap, the knee, and the game. Game, set, and match. It's over. Now for Steve Tasker, this is Don Criqui saying so long from Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati, where the final score is the Jacksonville Jaguars 29, the Cincinnati Bengals 15. Right now, let's send you to Jim Nantz in our NFL studio for the Subway